Just check it's coming up. Right, we're back here, part 2 with the main man, Roger Harvey. Right, Roger, the next question I got is, if you could summarise your racing style in 3 words, what would they be and why?
I'm stubborn, determined, and enjoying. Those would be the 3 words. Probably the other way around. Enjoying it. I did enjoy it. The pain, take the pain away from it, you know, where you're but like the enjoyment of just thrashing around on a motorbike it never left me. It never left me from when I rode that Bantam around that field all them years ago. You know, that was good fun. But to do things that were good fun, like I in that field, I'd learned to go off a drop, about a 6-foot drop into ruts on the Bantam.
Yeah.
Then to make it more fun, I got my granddad to sit on the back of me. It's a come on.
See if you could do it, yeah.
We'd jump off this thing into these ruts and oh dear. Yeah. So it was always fun. It's always been fun, you know.
Yeah.
It has, you know, and I've had a lot of good support, good help, and met a lot of people through it, you know. No one in particular. It's been a great career.
Awesome. What was your favourite race bike and team you raced for during your career, and why?
Ooh, okay. Favourite race bike, Mako, 1978 and 79. But also that 125 Husky was very good when I was in the Grand Prix in 76.
Yeah.
It wasn't by far the quickest bike, but at least you kept going most of the time. So that was okay. I took that I was invited to the Husqvarna factory to have him tuned and have a factory engine made.
Wow.
What they did was, when I got there, they said, take your cylinder off. I took my cylinder off, and they said, right, take it down to the lawnmower, man. He just 125s.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, strange. Team.
Yeah.
Two different occasions. First one has got to be Dougie Wheeler, because he gave me my first opportunity, you know, as a proper sponsored rider.
Yeah.
Although, having said that, at 17, I was the youngest factory rider in the country on sprites, you know. That didn't last long, but yeah, that was one thing. But Doug Wheeler Motorcycles, a lot of people will know him.
Mm-hmm.
He was such a dealer.
Yeah.
And he gave me my first opportunity, sent me to these 250 Grand Prix. In fact, he came with me to the Czech Grand Prix. Yeah. We went over, and he bought, on the boat on the way over, he was a big cigar man, and he bought a packet of 50 cigars, quite long ones, you know, quite fat ones.
Okay.
And we went there, and I drove out to Czechoslovakia, it was, into Halice, the track. Got there, okay, did this, that, and the other. I can't remember where I finished. It wouldn't have been anywhere special anyway. And then coming back, he said, boy, I've got to stop for some cigars. I said, Doug, you bought 50 on the way out. Boy, you can be a bit of a worry at times, he said. And he had to get another 50 or 100 on the boat back, because he would have run out.
That's brilliant.
So Dougie was a great influence on me, and his wife Jean.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the Hewitts from Stourbridge, Hewitt Motorcycles, and the boss, the dad, Jack Hewitt. Then there was Mike, Adam, and Paul, his 3 lads. Also Dave Gamble, he looked after the shop, and they looked after me. And to be honest, Jack Hewitt saved my career, because in 78 I'd gone to Suzuki, mainly because of the 125, but also you got to ride the 500 in the British Championship, and I could not ride that thing. 125 was okay, good bike, not a bad bike. 250, not so bad. 400, terrible. Now, Pete Math could ride it, no problem. I couldn't get on with it.
Yeah.
So, and we're at the last British Championship in August at Banbury. And I've come over this jump and landed, the back wheels exploded, the hubs exploded, and it stopped, obviously. So I've pulled it under the ropes. And I was riding for Graham Beamish at the time, you know. And I've pulled it under the ropes, out of the way, off the line and off the track. Yeah. And it's lying on its side. And I'm sat on the seat on the side, if you can imagine the bike line. I'm sat there. And what I'm doing, I'm working out if I could put 1,200 quid together to buy. I thought, all these guys have gone quick on Mako, so I've got to have a Mako. I've got to buy a Mako, and I'm working out. And to be honest, I hadn't got 1,200 quid at that time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put 1,200 quid together, but I thought, my mum supported me a lot through my career and looked after me.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe I could borrow a bit more off my mum. And then I could maybe put it on the knock. And I sat there, and it's only 1,200 quid, you know, which doesn't sound a lot today, but I hadn't got it. And bear in mind, now 78, we've got one youngster just born, so we've got a mortgage and everything to pay. And you know, Lynn was working to try and help, so we're looking where we could get the money. And no, it was going to be a struggle, but I got to do something. Yeah. And at that point, the front wheel's pointing the crowd. Jack Hewitt walks up, of Hewitt's, kicks me front tyre and said, "Not so good then, Rog." I said, "No, Jack," I said, "it ain't very good at all, mate. It's it's been difficult, you know." And he said, "You better come and see me tomorrow morning about a Mako." I said, "You what?" He said, "Come and see me. Get to the shop sometime tomorrow morning, and we'll fix you up with some Makos."
Wow.
I said, "Whoa, where did that one come from?"
Wow.
So, but then I'd got a signed contract and everything with Graham Beamish at Suzuki. Okay. So I was obviously at Jack Hewitt's shop in Stourbridge. I was there at like 7 o'clock in the morning, right before
beating the door down. Yeah.
But I'd spoke to Beamish late on the Sunday night, and Beamish kindly had said, "Yeah, okay, no problem, Roger. We understand it doesn't work for you. It's not working for us. You know, we'll release you, and we'll still pay you what we owe you, and this is what we agreed." And so, you know,
that was good,
gentleman, looked after me proper well. But little did I know that Jack Hewitt, he was quite influential in the motocross at that time, and he rung Graham and said, "Oh, you'll be getting a call soon from Roger, and you'll be releasing him, all right?"
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah, it went through, but fair dues to Graham, you know, he looked after me really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I just went, and then I won up the place behind me. This was 78. I won. I know the John Donnelly and Ireland International race. I think I went 1-1 and puncture, but I was winning, and I was earning money, and so it started to turn my career around. But yeah, if it wasn't for Jack Hewitt, my career might have gone totally the other way. So yeah, Doug Wheeler Motorcycles, Jack Hewitt Motorcycles.
That was an amazing break then. Really
cool. Can't believe it when you just sat there trying to work.
Thinking that way,
and somebody says, "Here, I'll give you one. Thanks."
Yeah, amazing. That's really cool. That's a cool story. Right, next one. Who were the best 3 riders you ever raced with and against, and why would you say? Not easy to say, I know, but
no, it isn't, because whether you look internationally or whether you look, it's got to be like Thorpe, you know, like Brit guys, you know, that was where my focus was. But like in the 125 Grand Prix, I was racing Watanabe, Gaston Rayet, Marty Smith, Velke, Kuravi, Kujakov. there's a lot of really, really strong contenders there.
Yeah.
Then, but like, yeah. And then Vickers was so good. And his career went on a long time, you know. So like these sort of guys, they just John Banks, you know. They just Vic Allen. Vic Allen won so many championships. So like to give three, certainly Thorpe is up there, Noyce is up there, and it's got to be Vickers, I think. But then you've got the international side: Gaston, Robert, Sylvain Guibault. Yeah, there's, you know, lots of guys who, you know, those that are still here to this day.
Did you race Roger Costa as well? Did you race him?
Yeah, I was in the same race. I've been in the same races as Di Costa, but not. Yeah. He was always 500s.
Yeah.
And yeah, on rare occasions, you know. But like, yeah, he was one that was there, but not like Gaston. I raced for a full 2 or 3 seasons, you know. Gerard Ron a couple of seasons. There's a lot of good guys that were around, and you know, you respect them all, really.
Yeah, for sure. Right, I've got it. Yeah, I've got here. Unfortunately, your professional racing career came to an end in '85. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, after a crash in France.
Yeah. Money grab.
Yeah. Please, can you tell us what happened and how difficult a decision was it to make that you would no longer compete at the highest level?
The decision wasn't hard at all.
Wasn't?
Couldn't walk, basically.
Yeah. So you were made for you, pretty much.
Yeah. So, but as is the case, the first thing you ask the doctor is, "Oh, when can I start riding again?"
Yeah.
Basically, what happened was I was doing some French internationals, and a guy that I'd beat easily the year before he obviously improved, and whether I'd gone a bit slower or not, I don't know. He was in front of me on a 500 Kawasaki and went over this jump and landed, and his sprocket broke off and the hub shattered. And just momentarily, it took me attention. I hit the brake and went basically over the bars, went right up the front of the bike, up to the tank, ripped the tank off, and what it did was dislocated and fractured both hips at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So that sort of, yeah, I went to the French hospital, and they said, but I'll never forget, I was lying in the track and thinking, shit, I broke my femur. I could better get out of the way. Then I realised there's guys back wheels landing right alongside of me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, whoa, get off the track. Got off the track and must have passed out.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Got on I woke up next time and I'm on a stretcher. And I'm holding my leg and I'm thinking, oh, I pushed my femur. And I'm feeling about, but I've got this lump on my side and one hip's still out. One's gone back in, one's still out. And next thing I noticed is the guy on the front left-hand side tripped over with carrying up the stretcher. All I can remember is going, oh, like, and I was saying that, and as I put my hand out, I never even remember landing on the floor, but they dropped me off the stretcher.
Jesus Christ.
Fell over. So anyway, yeah, that was hospital. I flew back to England, you know, made back operations here, and they said, like, yeah, you know, you can ride if you can, but no, I was too old. I was 85. What was I then? I was 33, 34. So I was too old to try and come back, you know.
Yeah. That was not good then.
No.
What do you actually miss most about racing, motocross, and competing at the top level?
You missed it. I don't miss it now.
Yeah.
I don't miss it at all now. You missed it when I first stopped, but I think I'd had a good career.
Yeah.
And the injury was big enough to say you don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Having said that, one of the first things I had to do when I was just almost up and about was go and do a double jump at down at Worcester. It's Apex, isn't it?
Yeah, the Supercross. Yeah.
To go and borrow a bike and just do a double jump to tell me the bottle was still half there.
Yeah.
But no, that sort of told me. You know, in them early years, often you look and you think, "Croc, I could do that better than you can," but you know you can't. The guys of today and the guys of that come after that. So I missed it for a while, but then I got other opportunities, if you want, that I could look at, and that's when I had to look at what I was going to do as a career. You know, because you lied in hospital bed there and you're thinking, shit,
what am I going to do now?
For a job, I've got to earn money. Yeah. So that's what unfortunately I got some very good offers to consider. You know, I'd got one for Suzuki to run their team, but that meant moving. They wanted me to move to down to Brighton, so I didn't want to move. I'd got one at Yamaha, but it wasn't on the off-road side. It was more on the sales and marketing side. And then I got an offer at Kawasaki, which was 2 days a week, running training schools for them, and then support the riders at Grand Prix. And the Kawasaki one suited me fine, so I took that and did that for 9 months, I think, and then went to Yamaha. And then, Yamaha I worked there for 9 years.
Yeah, I remember you there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of people, that, but now I've been at Honda, how many years have I been at Honda? 97.
A long time.
Yeah, it's far more.
I actually remember that. I remember you from the Yamaha days of.
Yeah. What were you riding, if you don't mind me asking, at the time when you won that BSMA?
Suzuki.
Oh, yeah, on a Suzuki. Yeah.
There was a shop in Chippenham in Wiltshire. Taylor's Suzuki. It was.
Taylor's. I know the
Taylor's. That's it. Yeah.
They were also Yamaha dealers, weren't they?
Yes, I think they even had a Honda one as well in Colne.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a few. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, so that's where I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old days.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets from your racing days? As in, was there a particular race or a season that you feel maybe got away from you that you believe you could have done better, or circumstances maybe have been different?
To be honest, every year you could have done better. I should have probably put more effort into it. In training wise and this, that, and the other. But I suppose coming late in my career, I'd started to think about, what am I going to do after it? Yeah. But no, not really. You go to racing and you think, oh shit, if only I'd done this, done that. Yeah. But there's no one really that you can put your finger on that you didn't do. You should have just worked harder and more dedicated to it.
Was there any teams or bikes that you regretted particularly riding? Or
that Suzuki was a handful. And I made some bad choices. Like I went to AJS at one time. I should have stayed on Husky. That was quite early days in my career, around about me under 21 days.
Yeah.
Really, there wasn't. I was on pretty decent bikes. Either Husky, Mako, Yamaha. Never actually raced for Honda, but I'd spoke to them many years about doing it, but we never got round to it.
Yeah.
So no, later years I wasn't so bad. I had pretty decent tackle, but not factory.
Yeah.
All like UK factory, if you know what I mean. So modified production stuff.
Okay, cool. Can you tell us a funny story from your racing day memories?
Yeah. Thorpe's going to love this because I think
sounds good.
Oh dear, should I? Yeah. In them 2 weeks where me and Thorpe were the same speed.
Okay, yeah.
One of them was the British Championship at Ling. He'll be pissed off with this because he's heard it a million times. When I introduced, now at the Grand Prix, when I introduced Thorpe,
Yeah.
I always say, oh, this is David Thorpe. You know, Dave Thorpe. You remember him? He used to race. He used to race with me. You know, I say that.
Yeah.
These people are going like 3 times world champion. But you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, Thorpe was Kawasaki, and I was on the Yam, and we were racing at Ling, British 500 British Championship, and like I say, it was one of the 2 weeks where he was same speed as me, and we're going round, and I've got off the start, got a good start. Thorpe's come through, caught me up, obviously ready to pass me. And he shouted, every you know, shouting at me, and I'm just inside line. He's coming outside, just push him out a bit, close the door as he comes in. You know, like Olfart knows most of the moves.
Yeah.
And anyway, he did eventually pass me, but then I think a stone knocked his fuel pipe off. His fuel all ran out, so he didn't finish the race.
Oh God!
But he come across the pits at me. Stamping across it. I said, whoa, Thorpe, hang up. Whoa. If you're lapping me, shout. I'll move. If you're not lapping me, don't waste your breath, because I ain't going to move. You've got to pass me. And anyway, okay, point taken. We never fell out over it. Then, at the end of that season, so our 2 weeks together had gone, he gets drafted in. Now, Pete Matthews is going to win the British Championship 125. And with a good ride and beat Jonathan Wright, I can be second. So the Yamaha team could have 1, 2.
Yeah.
But Alec Wright, dear old Alec, he didn't want that. He wanted Jonathan to stop this 1, 2. So we got there to Beenham Park. And Thorpe is there. I'm thinking, what's he doing at the 125 race? Been drafted in. And his sole purpose of that race was to keep me back, keep me off Jonathan.
Yeah.
And we got out the start, and Bugger Thorpe beat me at the start. Jonathan beat me. I think Math also beat me. So at this time it was almost a full factory bike without the power valve. So it was like a whoa, and off it would go, you know, and she was the fastest thing on earth, but you've got to get it there.
Yeah.
And so like I was slow jump from the start. Everybody else had gone, and then it it come into its own. So anyway, I'm racing around, and I'm up to Thorpe, and he's getting signals going, block off, stop off, don't let it pass. And I'm shouting at him all the way through, screaming at him, because like I knew I could catch Jonathan if I could get past Thorpe. I could get past him, and I thought I'm gonna have a word with him. So, like, bear in mind this is 6-7 months later from our first contretemps at Ling.
Yeah.
And I went over to him and said, Thorpe, he said, whoa, hang on, Rog. If you're lapping me, shout. If you're not lapping me.
That's brilliant.
And I thought, shit, he's learned. In just one season. And he did me like a kipper. We still have a laugh about that now.
That's really good.
Still have a laugh about it.
The youngster giving the man the advice
back. It was funny as hell. Like
that's brilliant.
Not just straight after, but
not deadly after.
Yeah,
that's a brilliant story. That's a really good one. Thank you. Right, you have been extremely busy the other side of the fence since you stopped racing. Obviously, please can you tell everyone and our listeners what it is you have been up to and how you remained involved in motocross?
Yeah, to be honest, it's been a lifelong thing. Like from starting riding around in that field all them years ago.
Yeah.
It's something I've been involved in with a slight deviation into the road race side for 5 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I was doing a lot of PR and work, test days and all this, that, and the other. I was doing that when I was at Yamaha.
Yeah.
And so I got and I'd do all the shows. If they needed me to show, I'd do it. Same with of course with Honda.
Mm-hmm.
If they need me there, I'd just go and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like that sort of helped me within the industry.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had 3 choices. when I finished racing. Then I was doing. I was at Yamaha for 9 years, and then they wanted to change my job about, which, to be honest, to me, it wasn't a good job. Maybe they just wanted to get rid of me, you know, I don't know. But anyway, we had a deal and I left. I said, typical racer, I ain't doing this, I'm gone. So we had a deal and I left. And I was just doing some freelance stuff for a couple of years.
Okay. And
one of the things I was doing was sponsorship for the British Championship.
Okay.
And in 1997, beginning of 97, they hadn't got a sponsor for the British Championship, and they contacted me and said, you know, can you have a look and see if you can find anything?
Yeah.
So I went different companies, and I thought, I'll go and speak to Honda, and had a meeting with Bob McMillan and Dave Hancock up at Stoke-on-Trent. And said, look, you know, how about, can you possibly see if you can sponsor the British Championship of it? Because I said it's really in danger of not happening. You know, we're not going to have a British Motocross Championship if we can't find sponsors somewhere. Anyway, they had a discussion amongst themselves, and Bob, in his inimitable style, says, yeah, we'll do that, you know. And then, that was like sort of saved the British Championship that year. Oh, thanks, you know, great. And now we want you to come and work for us. That was the next. Oh, right. When? Next week? Yeah, Bob was very straightforward.
Yeah, it sounds like you're like, whoa.
I said, well, I can't do it. I said, I've committed to other people to help them this year to do work for them. So I can't do it. No, I can't do it. As much as I want to do it, you know, when Honda comes and offers you that job. Yeah. So they said, all right, when can you come? I said, well, I've got to do this for the year, and then I can do it. Okay, well, wait. So then November of that year, I went to Honda. And my first job was at the motorcycle show. That's where I went. Yeah. And my brief was that, you know, the motocross, the off-road side, that's no problem. You know, it was dealer involvement, this, that, and the other. Teams, the racing. But you've got to attend all the road racing, and then the year after you take that on. So not 98, 99. So anyway, we come to February 98. So I've been there November, December, January, 3 months. And Bob says, we get a meeting with the Superbike team. And he says, in the meeting, we're changing the structure around. We're going to run it differently. And as of that meeting, I became British Superbike team manager. Wow. So I hadn't been to a race. I knew I'd been to one or two. Yeah. Like not in capacity. Yeah. So then it was like a right learning curve. But to be honest, it's dealing with people. And if you can deal with people, then if you get the right people, you can get the right job done, you know. But so I had to take that on, and that was involvement TT Northwest, because that's a big part of Honda's heritage, if you want to do these races. So, and that was riders, sponsors, actually running the team, Superbike team. Then we went on to Super Sport and all the other teams that we had going at the same time. So Northwest and TT, like we had Joey was one of the riders, and Loads McGinley, yeah, bless him. He was always supported by us through teams, you know, like we did Paul Bird Motorsport, because they got John McGuinness and we furnished them with 250s to race and this, that, and the other. And I had McGuinness on the 600. So yeah, TT lads, we always had a ATT man, and all the time Joey was in there. So from 98 to 2002, I was doing the road racing, which took me away from motocross a lot. And I was doing that, and it was like Joey amazing legend, and a lot of off-road people, you know, won't really know about him. In the Isle of Man, we used to hire what was the old post office, the old GPO centre, because you got loads and loads of different rooms. So all these different teams were sponsored, and there was a lot of them. We could put them in, you know. And so you'd always allocate one to Joey, because he did his own 125 and 250. He was like on the 2-stroke. So, yeah, sort that out. That's Joey's room. He has that, you know. And he'd always do these, and he'd invariably have a blue boiler suit on and little half specs, you know. And while he was doing, he was a brilliant engineer as well.
Yeah.
And I can remember the one year we got all the dignitaries from Japan. It was an anniversary year, 50th or 60th, can't remember. And anyway, they all come over, and I've got them, and I'm doing this show around. You know, this is the Superbike team, this is that. So we went into Joey's room, and Joey got a 125 split open here, and this, that, and the other, you know. And they, obviously, these Japanese big bosses thought, oh, this is the mechanic, you know, working on.
Yeah.
I said, oh, and by the way, I'd like to introduce you, Mr. Joey Dunlop. And they're all looking absolutely gobsmacked. Joey Dunlop doing his own bike, and this, but that was the way he was, you know.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. A great loss for that sport, you know. And we used to have he was always the last one to leave, one of the last, and we'd probably sometimes have a cup of tea before we went, you know. We'd go up into what we allocated as the canteen. We'd have a brew and a cup of tea and quick chat, you know, only quick. And then many of the time, so he'd be leaving 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Many was the time he'd go and do a lap of the TT in the dark in his van. Yeah, regularly. Now, bear in mind, he was like 20 odd times winner.
Yeah.
In the dark at night, off he'd go. Quiet, do a lap again. Just an amazing fella. And a real privilege to work with him, you know.
That was actually my next question about that. But what did you actually enjoy that side of it?
Yeah, the pressures. The money involved is a lot more. Because obviously, not necessarily rider wise, but your bikes wise. You know, to do a road race bike is a bloody fortune. You know, like you see your motocross rider go down, and you might bend a pair of handlebars or a lever or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they go down. You know, them days it was like 1,000, 1,500 quid straight away. You know, as they went, as the fairing was gone or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course the consequences, especially TT, the consequences that can be, that they all know, the old boys know, and they all sort of not talk about it, but know in the background. Like McGuinness, he always mows the lawn when he leaves to the TT. You know, it's a thing he does. You know, because he doesn't know whether he'll be back. But so the road race, it was really, really interesting, but a lot of pressure to get results. And I enjoyed it, but it was getting too much because I was still responsible for motocross at that time. And so, like, I was the actual team manager. I've rarely been an actual team manager, always an overseer. You know, like, so on this occasion I was team manager and overseer. So we had 125 teams, 250 teams, 600 teams, 1000cc superbike teams, satellites. We had all these, and individual riders sponsored, and some TT riders sponsored. So there was a lot of to watch, to keep, and then trying to run the superbike team as well and get ready for the TT, the Northwest. And it was a lot of pressure. But you know, that's part of the job. And that was a really, really enjoyable period. But like, I was glad when I could just go back to motocross and just.
I was just about to say myself. Relief.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Right, in 2016, saw you achieve the ultimate goal as a race manager with Tim Geiser, obviously securing the overall MXGP title. How did that compare to winning titles as a rider yourself? As an own.
Yeah, to be honest, you're just cog in the line of things that happen for a guy to win the championship. You know, it's not you. Like, I never want to go up on the podium or anything like that with him, because you know, it's not me that's done it, it's him. He's rode the bike, he's twisted the throttle. You know, what do they want to see? You know, somebody that's arranged his deal. You know, they don't want to see that.
Do you feel proud of that? And like,
oh, you're so proud of it. Yeah, because it's a big achievement to say that, you know, you've been part of winning a world championship, you know, and to Honda winning races. Obviously, that's 100% why they do it. Development of new bikes, of course. So, yeah, but you know, it's the rider that wins it for me, not you know, the bike. You have to have the right equipment under him. You have to have the right team around him. So yeah, achievement is great. You know, like he had, what was it 14 15 when he won the MX2, wasn't it? 16 when he won the MXGP, and again last year. So that is, yeah, it's so satisfying, satisfying. But like, you know, for me, it's, yeah, we were part of it. You know, all these guys and everybody in that team plays their part. And yeah, it just works out okay. Last year, that was also good. But like, I don't feel like it's not me that's achieved it. You know what I mean? I've contributed to it, but it's certainly not down to me that the championship was won. You know, but like, yeah, because you can't, as a ex-rider, you can't tell these guys anything. They know it all. Yeah, you can't even. No, it's completely different era and different way, and they ride differently, and their mental approach is different. So you can't. You might see, you know, the probably the biggest thing to Tim, I might see something, a line somebody uses, you know. I might say to him, hey, so-and-so went up there, I don't know whether it's any good, have a look. Oh yeah, okay, whether he does or whether he doesn't, you know. But that's as much as I get involved that side. But like the putting the whole structure together with the team, the riders, the sponsors, and what you've got in your background, yeah, we have to put that, do that, approve it. You know, everything's done through Japan. Yeah. Oh, and like my job at that time, what the Japanese have a term, window guy, and I'm the European window guy. So we have a window, and anything from the team side, sponsor side, and that comes through me to Japan, and then other way around, anything from Japan comes through me and goes to the relevant part, you know. So yeah, once you're used to dealing with the Japanese, it's a pleasure, you know, and it's quite nice, but you have to know how they work. Yeah. Do you feel pressures in the motocross side as well? Do you feel pressures on that as? Not so much, no. I think the pressure on the road race side was the consequences. Oh yeah. Okay. You know, the consequences of what could be and what couldn't be. Yeah. Pressure on the motocross, you don't get that so much. Yeah. You pressure yourself up, you know. But like, somebody used to say to me, like, if you can't handle the pressure, you shouldn't be doing the job. So, you know what I mean? I suppose you just want to keep it as like your own standards of the way you work. Yeah. And you know what's expected of you. Yeah. You know, HRC is a very, very special company. And it's what a privilege to have, you know, work for them. Yeah. And the level they run at is absolutely amazing. And it's not until you can get really, really on the inside and see. Yeah. You just think, shit, that's so good, you know. That's so impressive. And yeah, it's been a great privilege to have the back end of my working life associated with the HRC. Yeah, 100%. What does a typical race weekend like for you then in your role when you would go to the GP? Okay, now it's changed because now I act as advisor. Yeah. Basically, I'm just there watching. And now this guy called Marcus de Freitas, he's taken over from me as general manager. So he has all the day-to-day stuff, the communication with the team, mechanics, HRC staff. Like we've got another English guy called Roger Shenton. He works mainly in Italy, obviously with the current situation. He's stuck in the UK at the moment. Yeah. But he's parts guy, coordination guy. Marcus is then the day-to-day. So for me, when I was doing all that, then, you're more deeply involved with everything. But now I'm sponsors. So I'll go to a race. Before, I used to go on the Thursday, get there for the evening, bite to eat. Yeah. And then Friday, all day, sponsors, team meetings, debriefs, strategy, all this, that, and the other goes on the Friday. Yeah. Saturday, we've got quite a nice hospitality. And what we do there is entertain sponsors, and it's also a lot of negotiations. Yeah. Ride managers, I'm still sort of involved in that a little bit, but not doing the direct sponsorship. I'm looking after to an extent. Mm-hmm. So now it's just an overseeing situation because I'm not full time now. Yeah. By my own choice, I said I was going to stop. Because I'm too old. But they said, will you, just carry on for a little bit? So I will stop at the end of next year. That's my plan for the last 6 years. So that's what So my weekend would be full. And then on the Sunday night, debrief each rider, which takes ages. Because they want to know every RPM the bike could why was this time down on this lap, and
bloody hell. There's quite a lot of depth.
Details, yeah. We got like in the race screens, got the starts and why did you held the gear too long. You can tell exactly what they do. It's like crazy, back like the road racing was. Like Michael Rutter was at where was it? We were at Silverstone, and he said, "Oh, the clutch slipped off the line." Oh, did it? Okay. And then you just go back and look at data and said, "No, it didn't slip. You never let it go." Basically, he got it in a bit. Yeah. In all this with road racing, you can see with motocross, you can see now. On the motocross side, so you can see all that. Oh yeah, and we have the engineers over from Japan to every race, so it's sort of communicating with them. Yeah, and obviously we get the guy Taiichi Honda. He's no relation to Honda, but his name is the same. Okay. He oversees everything. He's in charge, so he's my contact guy over there if you want. Okay. And so the weekend is full, and then Sunday night, I always say to the guys, right, Sunday night we've got to get a hotel near the airport because you can get caught Monday morning in traffic and flights and everything. So normally it's a 9-10 o'clock, leave the track, hit the first McDonald's, down get back to the hotel, and at one stage there used to be, for me, when I was reports, I used to do about a 25-page report on the Sunday night, Monday morning. A lot of time of that would be, do it Sunday night in the hotel, get home and finish it then on the Monday. So, yeah.
A lot goes into it.
That, it goes on, but like now we've got more and more Japanese. That sort of thing has died down a bit because they do it because they're here, but when they weren't here so much. Yeah. So we have a suspension guy. He travels all the way with us everywhere. Mm-hmm. We have Tim, suspension guy for Tim. We have suspension guy for Mitch Evans. It'll be different one. We have two race engineers with us, and then we'll probably have 3 or 4 development engineers. So it's quite a big crew from Japan that come over each time.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Great setup.
Oh, it's amazing. It is amazing. And like I say, to be
part of that is.
In that is just, and we do the tours around the garage, and like, people can see some of it. They can't see all of it because also we have to keep we have to keep a lot of things. The bikes are
under wraps.
Yeah, the bikes are under development, so
yeah, there's a lot going on.
don't get seen. Yeah.
Very cool. Right, a few more questions left. I got what advice would you give to any youngster currently racing in schoolboy motocross who has the dream of obviously competing against the very best in the world one day and maybe becoming Great Britain's next world champion? What advice would you give to a schoolboy rider right now that want to go pro?
So it's difficult for them with the system we've got.
Yeah.
So difficult for them to get in. The likes of Tim, when we took Tim on, he'd been doing the Europeans and we saw what he was like, but the family had got no money. They couldn't basically afford to go to the races. Now, that's a big issue, because what then you get is a lot of very wealthy kids who are not quite as fast as other guys.
Yeah.
But the kids have got to, it's now from such a young age, they've got to be like really focused and dedicated to it. And, we're all the time looking for younger and younger guys.
Yeah.
So, and from our point of view, because the 450 is our flagship machine, to move them up onto a 450 pretty quickly, So they've got to have that dedication. It's got to be almost total focus, You look, Thorpe was one of the forerunners of this. He's now enjoying life, and he has been since he's retired. But prior to that, he was total focus, and that, I think now that's one of the only ways. But then it's difficult to get out to the right races, and these Europeans, they can end up travelling about Europe a lot, which is not cheap these days. So they do need a level of financial support behind them, But they've just got to make sure that they do it at your different levels, in the youth side. Because people in my position, we look, and we've got people in different countries.
Yeah, I was about to say, have you got people that are always looking for youngsters? Talent? Yeah.
Yeah, like I was talking yesterday to somebody from Sweden, and you wait till you see this guy. So now that guy is on my radar.
Yeah. I'm with you, yeah.
And if so, that they will get, the talent will be seen.
Yeah, talent spotters, if you like.
Yeah. The talent will be seen in each country.
Okay.
And we, like we do that. Like I say, it was Sweden yesterday. Then you'll get from different countries, different people that will say, "Hey, watch this kid. Have a look at him." And then once they're on your radar, you're watching them.
Yeah. Is there any English guys that you guys have heard about, talents at the minute?
At the moment, there's not so many coming from the UK. We've got like Conrad. He's okay, but he's just been so up and down.
Yeah.
Whether he's going to do it or whether he isn't going to do it. What if this develops like it's going to be, like this coronavirus? Hopefully they'll get the domestic series started.
Yeah.
We've got people that we're watching, probably, in a lot of different countries. UK, the likes of Thorpe will keep me up to pace there,
Yeah.
Because obviously he knows probably better than most.
Yeah, he's close to it all the time,
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, very interesting. Right. What do you believe needs to be done in British motocross for the grassroots level up to ensure that we have another world champion in the next 10 years or so? It's a bit of an open-ended question.
It's like when I was racing, all them years where we got guys that could run reasonably at the front, but they weren't at the front. They weren't regular front runners. Being from the Bickers, Smith, Banks, all that era,
Yeah.
And then there's that big glut where my era weren't quick enough. Then all of a sudden, up pops Noisy, and that drags Neil Hudson with him. He's come through, and that drags Thorpe with him. So then we've got a good bunch of guys coming through. So the British Championship, it's been, from my point of view, I've been to a few of them. It's been a little bit lackluster. Needs invigoration. It needs, it needs revitalising. But the system with the Grand Prix, where it takes so many weekends and this, that, and the other, you don't get these guys that'll do the British Championship and the Grand Prix, because if you've got 20 Grand Prix, Motocross the Nations have 21 races.
That's a lot, man.
3 or 4 before the season, so that's 24. 25, say. They'll drop in the odd occasional in the year. So, 30 races and they're done. So it's very difficult to drag the kids far enough forward to see these, because they're not seeing them top guys like in our era. That's what we've seen, or after my era. That's what we've seen. A lot of the time they could see the Thorpes, the Noises, the Kurt Nichols, etc.
It's like, for instance, I live in Swindon near Fox Hill.
Yeah.
And obviously I've gone and took some photos and stuff, like, just as a hobby, and went to the British Championships last couple of years, and I was quite shocked, like the lineups and stuff, and not full lineups and that. I was quite it's what we've got to get it like is like the British Superbike Championship, because you have this crew of riders that don't do World Championship. And you've got like the Superbike guys do that Superbike World Championship, the British guys do British Superbike, and I think this is the way we've got to try and do it. But we've got to get them integrated with the guys that are doing the World Championship. So, like, Sean's going to come back and he's going to do the British Championship. So that helps. That'll help, yeah.
That'll help promote it a bit. It's just getting them names at the back at the British Championship,
Yeah. So then, obviously, like you said, all the young guys coming through, then they're actually competing with the guys that are racing in GPs as well, and then you can see them where they fit into it.
It drags them on. And but I think they're trying to get some of the youth racing at the same time, as the British Championship. So that will help. Yeah.
A bit like what you mean, like the American type where they do that.
Yeah.
Because
like
a weekend thing.
Was there a plan for the youth to race on the Saturday at some?
Yeah, like a weekend thing. Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
So that at least will get some of the. But then again, the youth want to go out racing, so if they race out on Saturday, they might go and race somewhere else on the Sunday.
Yeah, that's the trouble. Yeah.
Don't they sit and watch?
Yeah.
Which is always an argument for the manufacturers. Do you want them using your bikes, or do you want them watching your bikes? So as a manufacturer, you'd rather use them.
Yeah, for sure. Get what you're saying. Right, the last one I had was, I'm not sure if you use social media at all. What were your usernames if you do?
Now, you're right. I'm on one social media, which is Twitter.
Oh, okay.
But I'm a lurker.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's 2 people know who I am.
Oh, okay. So it's a stealth thing.
Yeah.
You can watch but not be seen.
One is Rui Gonçalves, who was riding for us, and he was desperate to know my name on Twitter.
Got out of you.
Anyway, he went and he must have spent quite some time, but he found it out. So I don't know. To be honest,
that's fair enough.
If I did in the first place, I would be getting that much on top of what you do.
Yeah.
So the people, they can contact me through various, on the racing side. Because like Dave Bulmer, who spoke to you today, he's often come to me and said like, oh, this person's after you, they're chasing you and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a lurker on Twitter. No Facebook, no Instagram, nothing else.
Okay.
I'm a lurker, so
I like that.
you're on Twitter, and I'll just keep checking.
I like that. That's very cool. Just before we go, is there any shout outs or anything you want to make before we finish off?
Not really. Just to say that, yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed, being involved in it, and it's been a long, long time that I've been involved in it.
Yeah,
that's all. I did set off as an engineer at a power station. That was I did a 5-year apprenticeship and a 1 year working, and then said, boys, I'm going racing. So I was racing at that time as well. So it's something that I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed a lot with the people I've met. I had a great fun with them. So yeah, just thanks for listening. I hope I didn't bore you to death.
It's been absolutely superb. Brilliant stories. Really cool. Great details as well. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Awesome to speak to you. Great to meet you. Hopefully I'll get to keep in contact with you as well. Really appreciate that, Roger. Everyone's been looking forward to this, so I shall get that out soon. And yeah, brilliant speaking to you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much. Take it easy. Cheers.
Bye.